Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial, I'll be demonstrating how to create two cakes, one of them using a 104 piping tip and a ruffle effect, and the other one with a striped design and a fault line-esque kind of design combined. The very first cake that we're going to be working on is the vertical striped ruffle cake. This has two different colors and I've used American buttercream for this particular cake. Fill in your cake with the buttercream, although do remember to attach your cake to the cake board first so it doesn't go kind of rolling around everywhere. I've used 4-inch cakes here, 2 of them, and I've cut them both in half so we have 4 layers of cake in total. If you guys would like the recipe, you can find it linked in the description box below or in the eye icon somewhere up here. Once all of your cakes have been stacked, you want to create a crumb coat. This will be a thin layer of frosting that goes around all of your cake and traps in any crumbs. I like to start at the very bottom and then work my way up to the top. Whenever creating a buttercream finished cake, it's always a good idea to heap on the buttercream on the crumb coat. Just make it a little bit thicker so you don't see the crumbs underneath. If it's fondant covered, usually it's not a problem because the fondant's not really see-through. Smooth it all down and then bring that lip of frosting at the top to the center. Fill in any pockets as you go if you do have any. And then into the fridge she goes for at least an hour if you can, or into the freezer for 10 to 20 minutes. We'll be using a 104 piping tip for this particular design. And I filled my bag with some white frosting and a second bag with turquoise frosting or blue frosting. I start at the very bottom and then work my way up to the top. As you're making your way to the top of the cake, give your bag a little bit of a wriggle just to create those folds and that kind of ruffle ribbony effect. If you were to travel up the cake completely straight without giving it that little wriggle, it'll end up having a really straight sort of ribbon. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think it gives a lot more shape, interest, and diversity when you have a little bit of that ruffle happening. If you guys are enjoying these tutorials, feel free to subscribe. We do upload a new video every week. I created 3 rows of white and then 1 row of blue in between each 3. At the very end here I did have a little bit of space. What I could have done is created a much wider ruffle for these 2, but I just did it with the center. Not a problem, this will become the back of our cake. Once you're done, pop it into the fridge to set completely and then work on your decorations. I've topped mine with some macarons. Speaking of, there is a nut-free macaron recipe up here and in the description box below as well if you'd like to try that. I filled mine with vanilla buttercream and then I'm attaching it to my cake with some more buttercream and a 32-star piping tip. These are flowers that I've applied. I got them from the bargain store. I've alternated with the flowers and the macaron for this particular design. You could leave the center empty. That looks kind of nice. You can put a cake topper in there later. Or you can fill the center with some more of those white flowers as well. And our first cake is complete. I hope you enjoyed this particular design. I know it's my personal favorite and I'll definitely be making another one in future. For the second design, we have a striped cake effect with a little bit of a drip and a fault line kind of top section. I've crumb coated my cake, now I'm adding my final layer of frosting. On this cake, I am starting at the very top and then working my way down. Fill in any pockets, give it a bit of a rough smooth down and then using a double-sided square frosting comb, create the indents in your cake. This particular comb I designed and I cut myself and I do sell to the public, so if you would like to buy one and support the channel, the link will be in the description box below as well. Make sure it's nice and smooth, fill in any pockets. You just want to make sure that the raised section is really smooth. The indented section in between it doesn't matter too much because it's going to be completely covered afterwards. Once you're happy with the smoothness, bring that lip of frosting to the center at the top and then freeze it for about 20 minutes or so just to make sure it's nice and firm. I've decided to go in with white frosting in between, so the indented section I've added white frosting, and then smooth it down. You just want to keep scraping away, all of that frosting will come off, I promise. Fill in any pockets as you go if you see there's like larger spaces in between the two stripes. And eventually you should have something that looks a little something like this. From there, I'm applying white frosting at the top, bringing it down 1/4 of the way, just to cover a little bit, and this will be our fault line section. I start off nice and thick, and then I removed as I went and smoothed down. Clear up the top, bring the lip of frosting to the center, and then refrigerate once more to set that layer because we are going to be painting it and we don't want it to be too soft. For the ganache, I'm using white chocolate and cream. I personally use Nestle compound chocolate in pretty much all of my ganaches, and this is just heavy cream. You do 3 parts chocolate to 1 part cream to make white chocolate ganache. Make sure that all of your chocolate is coated in the cream and then microwave it for 30 seconds. Mix it together so it's all blended and then add in your gel food color. I've used white gel food color and a drop of red to make it pink. Cut a very small hole in your piping bag and start dripping just underneath where that fault line is. Try to make some of these sections longer and some of them shorter, just to add a little bit more diversity and interest to your cake. Once you're done, it should look a little something like this. For the paint, I've used edible gold luster dust with some, I believe this was vodka. If you're not able to use alcohol, you can use lemon juice or white vinegar. These are very acidic in nature and so will evaporate quickly. Water won't work so much, not because it just won't evaporate nicely, but because you've used buttercream, there's a lot of fat in butter and in shortening. And the moment you add water, they just don't want to mix and you'll end up with these really ugly droplets. Just trust me, lemon juice if you can't do alcohol. Once you have a paint, apply it onto the edge of that fault line design. I've left my drips completely bare so you see where they start and end, but I think it would have looked a little bit nicer now that I think about it if you had little blossoms made of fondant just stuck at the very top of each one so you can't see where it started and ended. Apply some buttercream to your cake to stick on your decorations. I've added in some flowers and macarons like the other cake. Fill in between with some greenery. This particular bouquet came with greenery. I buy it from a mostly $2 shop, but it's actually a really good quality bouquet. And that is how you create this awesome cake with the drip, the stripes, and the fault line. And that's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed these cakes and give them a go. They're easy, they're beginner level. I'm positive you can do an amazing job with them. And if you do recreate them, please tag us, #Rosie's Dessert Spot, so we can see your awesome cakes as well. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. In this tutorial, the very first cake we will be working on is the horizontal, and go. There's a fly in here. Make sure that, go. This particular bouquet came with greenery. I buy it from a mostly $2 shop, but it's actually a really good quality bouquet.